All right, we're back and ready to look at what the papers have to say this morning. Quite interesting stories. You'll agree when you hear some of the headlines. I'm glad to say joining us live via video link is guest Chris Kehinde Nwandu, a chartered mediator and conciliator, and of course a regular fixture on the breakfast every single Tuesday. Chris, good morning to you and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You didn't add a million.
I thought you were about to wear a cap, but I didn't see the cap on your head, so I... All right. Oh, we'll add that to your name. Of course, Mercy Ebokpo is still here. Mercy, great to have you join us this morning.
Well, thank you, and it feels great to be here as well and know that you're here.
All right, interesting. I see a spark, a smile. I saw an earlier smile on Chris's face. Let's go straight to the this day. This morning with these headlines. A big one there. NESG sets priorities for Atiku, Tinubu, Obi, Kwankwaso, others. That's the economic group right there. Buhari increased domestic production value addition will address inflation FX constraints. I already waste time on that. More from this day. Soludo, I won't succumb to bullies. Obi knows he can't win. That 16-page letter written or article written by Soludo, quite interesting one. He says he's making Tinubu's pathway to victory much easier. That's talking about Obi toying with Indigo's destiny. Anambra governor being sponsored to weaken our candidate, Labour Party fumes. More from this day. Akwa Ibom, court sacks Udofia Akpabio as APC's Global Centauro candidates. Quite interesting. It seems like the ghost of Mike Guinea is still at work in Akwa Ibom State. Long history will repeat itself at just presidential flag off. Some headlines on the front page of this day.
Well, let's quickly move away from this day and take a quick look at the Punch newspaper this morning. 2023 polls, Soludo attacks Obi again, says ex-governor cannot win. Negotiate with Tinubu, Atiku, Soludo advises Southeast. Interesting. Why rejected Obi's offer to defect to PDP in 2017. Poll says Anambra governor. Soludo allow himself to be used. Obi will win. Labour Party PCC is quoted to say. Let's move away from the bold caption. You also have another header saying INEC office attacks worry. UK, the United States oppose rigging. Okay, it's really great to know that everyone is worried about Nigeria. Military places 95 million naira bounty on 19 bandits and kingpins. Organized private sector sets $9 trillion agenda for the federal government. Half pay. ASU says lecturers, intellectuals, not casual workers. Lecturers are intellectuals and not casual. I mean, even if they were... Okay. I'm sure that Chris would actually share his thoughts on that. Resists government control. NPAN advises media practitioner. All theft, the federal government arraigns 16 foreigners and detain vessel. Tinubu's victory certain, says Lalong, as campaign begins. Some of the headlines you find this morning on The Punch.
The next paper we go to, The Nation, with these headlines. Abdul Salami panel, rising violence threatens polls. Politicians not ready to play by the rules, says INEC. What are we going to do about that? More from The Nation, why I invited Buhari, Obi, Kwankwaso, others by Wiki. Of course, the latest scale of projects commissioning in River State. We see the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence. We'll see Adams Oshomole of the APC, former governor of Edo State, and we'll see President Buhari, amongst others, commissioning projects in River State. I think Wiki may have read 48 Laws of Power. I'm sure you may have read that book. Poverty doubled under Obi, says Soludo. LP governor jealous is what the party is saying in its response. Petrol subsidy not sustainable. Ipman insists Oyo Ongu to end kidnapping on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Buhari others in just for Tinubu Shetima campaign kickoff. Fake news. NBC finds Arise TV 2 million naira is what the paper is saying. And of course, you can see a picture of Esomike, governor of River State, and his dear wife, as well as I think Justice Mirodili, with Alhaji Mino Ado Bayero, the Emir of Kano, I should say, rather than Sultan of Sokoto, commissioning a project in River State. If the nation is giving Wike more favorable coverage. And of course, their counterpart TV station.
Kofi, I need to understand what's your affiliation
more
with
favorable coverage. No. I'm just saying that some things have changed, because I mean, I was in River State for years. I worked there, and I hardly saw a particular television station aligned to the nation being invited to Government House for anything. And because we're aligned to, perceived to be aligned to or favorable to a particular political party. So I'm saying that you can read between the lines right there. But that's that. We'll leave it at that and go to the next paper. Merci.
Well, we quickly move away from that and let's look at what the Daily Trust newspaper's got to say. Grains price crash days after it records a surge. Rush for grains subsidies in major markets. Dollar bounces, sells at 717 naira. Oh, well. Is that what we're talking about? I probably would be thinking that we're saying that the dollar is back to 100 or thereabout. Dollar forex volatility may reduce investment and increase inflation, according to experts. IPOP kills monarch chiefs in Imo. Why Obi can't win 2023 presidential election, Soludo is quoted to say, and the NBC fines Arise Television 2 million naira over fake report on Tinubu. Well, there's also an apology, from the station. Caution your spokesman. Abdulsalami's committee tells presidential candidate. We need to deal with multiple forex markets inflation. Buhari is quoted on that. These are some of the headlines you find this morning on the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, we'll bring in Chris Kehinde Nwandu very quickly at this point. Chris, the papers, a couple of them have really zeroed in on Soludo's letter he released yesterday. Quite interesting letter, 16-page, and I'm sure you've had a chance to read it. But it's titled History Beckons, and I Will Not Be Silent, Part 1. And some people are saying if this is just Part 1, then what will Part 2 be like? He might end up writing a book, with this article at the end of the day. Over to you, Chris.
Yes, Governor Soludo is a professor, and professor writes in volumes. So the express themselves, and the number of theses and book publications that published that will determine whether you become a professor, an associate professor, even a PhD program. So it is within his purview to be able to write such lengthy letters. The only bit I think is taken after our own former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. That another very good letter writer. But on a more serious note, the issues and some of the utterances coming from the governor of Anambra State is quite unfortunate because P2B is not even in the fray. I've not seen P2B reply to any of the comments. The people that have been replying are the supporters of P2B. And how did all this start? It was Governor Soludo who at a media chat with a national TV station that started raising the dust about all the investments P2B made in Anambra, which has come to naught now, and the rest of them, and tried to belittle whatever P2B has done or did as the governor of Anambra State for 8 years, which is there for every blind man to see. Now, P2B didn't reply him. After the obedience and supporters of he came out with the 16-page letter. But let us just take it in context. First and foremost, P2B was governor, and after P2B there have been other governors. There have been two after that. That was in Gige, and there's also Obiano who left. You are now trying to demarcate him for whatever reason. In that same press statement he issued, he said P2B cannot win. But he went ahead to say that twice he begged P2B to come and take the presidential ticket of Abga, and P2B refused. Could that be the reason why he's going after P2P now? I don't know for him. But I find it difficult to understand how my people play politics. And when I say my people, I mean those from the Southeast and from the West. We don't understand the dynamics of politics as being played by other people, especially those from the North and even the Southwest. What Charles Soludo is doing is just liking a situation where Governor Sanwo-Olu will come out today and say Tinubu is not fit or cannot win the 2023 election. But Charles Soludo is not God. He only has one vote and can only galvanize his supporters not to vote for P2P. But it will be written on record that he seems to be the Judas in the house as far as this is concerned. And whatever attempt to try to demarcate P2P is left for Nigerians and history to record. But it's quite unfortunate. He said poverty was about 50% when P2P. But this was a man that left over close to about, was it 50 billion or whatever, when he was leaving for the state government. He did not owe contractors, he did not owe pensioners and the rest of them. And the custodians, there are so many landmark achievements, including roads and the rest of them, which so many people have attested to when he was leaving. Now, he said there has been a drop and a dip. Let me even ask this question. The shares, the banks which Soludo consolidated when he was Central Bank of Nigeria, what are the shares of those banks now? Some of us bought shares because of what he was doing. Now we cannot get a single kobo for those dividends from those banks in terms of share. We lost so much in that. And you are talking of achievement. P2P was a two-time governor. You are just starting, we are just barely 1 year into your governorship. You were the central bank governor. P2P was the chairman of some banks when you were chair. So you can see that it is not a good, I don't think that this is necessary. I think what should be doing now is to be focusing on what these candidates are saying and what they think they can do for Nigerians. But the way he's going about it, I don't know who is propelling him to be doing this, but that is not how to go. Not a man that is from your state. Even if you're not going to support him, don't be part of those that will be demarcating him. That's my personal opinion.
Well, let's quickly turn attention to the Punch newspaper. INEC office attacks worry the United Kingdom and the United States. They seem to be very concerned about, Nigeria and all this going on. Do you think that there's an ulterior motive?
Yes, it is not only United Kingdom, but Nigerians. I run a TV program, Inside Politics, one of the national TV stations every Friday. My guest last week, Friday, was the spokesperson of the first PRO of the Nigerian Police, Chief Superintendent Olumuyiwa Abijobi. And that was part of what we discussed. And I asked him, how come that we're having this series of attacks on INEC, at INEC offices, and materials being bought? As of the last 47 INEC offices have been burnt across Nigeria in the past about 30 months or thereabouts. And it's obvious that some people are just being mischievous, are trying to play some kind of this thing. One, it could be the fact most of people engaging in this are people that feel that they don't have a strong hold within those states. And so they think that the way they can be able to marginalize people from coming out to vote is by burning these offices. And you come to realize that when this is burnt, a lot of INEC materials are burnt. The last one that happened, we learned that close to about 10,000 voters' cards, the newly printed voter card, and were burnt that have not been collected, that need to be collected within the next few days before the election. Then you cannot ask yourself, what is the rationale? There's only one thing, and that's the only one reason. The introduction of papers has changed the dynamics of election in Nigeria. It happened in Ekiti, it happened in Osun State, and it may likely happen across Nigeria. The days of ballot box snatching is over. The days of trying to manipulate and change figures after people have voted and at the collation center, it is now automatically transmitted. So for anybody to try to manipulate the system, they cannot be able to do
Chris,
it. So that is the point. Yes.
So I'm asking about the fact that you have the United States and the United Kingdom expressing concern about what's going on in Nigeria. And for me, do you think that there's an ulterior motive?
From United Kingdom?
Yeah, we understand when the West has an interest in a certain region. For instance, you can also say, if you want to agree with me, with the fact that when you have the IMF and the World Bank putting always almost in control, there's always an interest, where they put your nose.
No, I don't believe
So you think that there's no ulterior motive right here?
There is not your motive.
They're not tilting towards any candidates. There's no support from anywhere.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe in that. Mercy in the US the US just had a third midterm election, and you saw what happened in the United States, where it was initially it was believed that there's going to be a red wave, or that's what they call the red wave, and the election just happened, and you saw how the Democrats have taken over a majority in the Senate, and there's the possibility that the representative will be taken over by Republicans. What they are always for, if we even talk about the system we are practicing, it's not presidential system of government, and it came from the United States. We don't have a homegrown democracy that practices. So whatever we are doing is still something we still borrow from the Western world. And the fact remains that when we borrow, we don't seem to get it right the way they are doing theirs. So we also our focus now should be, why are these INEC offices being burnt? And what can be done to remedy the situation? And don't forget that INEC quickly had an emergency meeting last week where these issues are being addressed. And if we cannot be able to stop this issue of vandalization of INEC offices and burning, then we're going to run the problem. What personally, I think that we must have an increased security within these INEC offices. But we have the policemen, enough policemen to man this. That is the issue for me.
So why is the US and the United Kingdom interested in our affairs?
When your president falls sick, where does he go to?
I mean, he's paying for it. It's not free.
No, he's paying for it. Who is paying for it? You are paying for it. It's not. Buhari is not paying for his pocket.
So you're so paying. It's not a charity.
No, there is. If we have issues in tackling insurgency and the rest of them, who do we go to? We go outside. If we want to borrow money, since as we have been doing, where do we go to? Go to China. We go to US. We are going to. So when it comes to election, you now think it's an internal. It's not. The world has become a global village, and every country in the world take interest in what happened in other countries. That is national relations. So if they are saying they are raising concern that what is it, do something about it. Okay, take for example, what happened a few weeks ago. Was it not this foreign country that has also raised alarm about an alleged security alert in Abuja? So you could have asked also, what is their interest in that? So I don't want to be of that school. And just a few days ago, the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, came to confirm what those foreign missions were saying. He told us that some people have been arrested over those alleged terrorist acts, and they'll be investigated and will be prosecuted. So it's not just sitting back and say, oh, we are Nigeria, nobody should interfere. And whatever affects Nigeria affects the West African region, the African region, and the whole world.
All right, Chris, let's look at a story coming from this Daily Trust, the paper that really gives us a lot of focus with stories coming from the northern part of Nigeria, which is okay. Military places 95 million naira bounty on 2G. 18 others is a story on the bottom of that front page of Daily Trust. Of course, the picture, of that terrorist list going around, making the rounds, social media, across the media released by the authorities yesterday is something to talk about. But what we're hearing from Daily Trust right now, and an update to that story, is that some residents of Zamfara State on Monday expressed doubt that any progress will be made with the declaration of some terror kingpins in the state. I think Tuji is one of those interviewed recently by either Daily Trust or the BBC, for which the NBC had something to say. But the paper is saying this, quote, some residents of Zamfara State on Monday expressed doubt that any progress will be made with the declaration of some terror kingpins in the state wanted by the military. They wondered why it took the military so long before declaring the terror kingpins wanted, or even making frantic efforts to capture them alive. And the defense headquarters had earlier yesterday, the paper says, released names and identities of 19 terrorist commanders who had been working or wreaking havoc in Northeast, Northwest, and North Central. What are your thoughts on this?
I do agree with them to a large extent. All those that were declared wanted in the past, how many have been arrested? Those that were arrested, how many have been prosecuted? Kofi, you know for sure, as a fact, that instead of even prosecuting them, they are releasing them. So my release about 101 kingpins, Boko Haram kingpins, we are released from Kirikiri prison a few weeks ago. The government did not deny that. So saying that we are declaring wanted is for me, is just a show. Those that have been arrested over the years for participating in acts of terrorism, kidnapping, killing, and the rest of them, how many of them have been prosecuted? And that is why these guys are digging in, because we are not using the necessary apparatus at our disposal to be able to ensure that these people that are arrested for act of terrorism are treated the way they should be treated. Instead, after arresting them, you release 2,000, release 5,000, release 10,000 in the name of amnesty. Most of them go back to their house and continue to perpetrate evil against their fatherland. So, to me, I'll just take this with a pinch of salt until I start seeing the political will on the part of our government to be able to do the needful by making sure that those that have been arrested so far are prosecuted. Then the federal government in the past have said, oh, we are going to shame, we are going to nail, we are going to prosecute those that have been fingered to be part of terrorism. Nothing, and I say absolutely nothing has been done. We saw what happened in Dubai, where about 7 Nigerians were fingered in sponsoring terrorism. What happened? Within weeks, they were rounded up, prosecuted, and they are in the local palace. They are chopping beans in the prison now. We saw what happened in Chad or Niger a few years ago, where some were rounded, and within weeks they were prosecuted. Those that were shot, they were killed, and that was it. That is how to be able to deliver judgment on issues like this. But that I should be looking for a terrorist, and if I capture one, give me 5 million. Kofi, you go do am. You where you talk to, you go do am. You go collect, you go to point and collect 5 million. Mercy, you go do.
Oh no, Chris, I have a problem when you say prisoners, they are eating beans in the prison. So are you saying that beans is a prisoner's food?
That's what it's called.
Is it what? So anybody that eats beans now is a prisoner. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Why is beans a problem?
Okay, this is not done. Please wait not done. Sorry, please wait not done.
All right, let's quickly turn our attention to the issue of petrol and subsidy. Some quarters have actually said, hey, it's especially IPMAN, and they're saying that it's not acceptable. They condemned the removal of subsidy and what have you. And on the Nation newspaper, petrol subsidy not sustainable, IPMAN insists. Your thoughts?
It's not sustainable. There is a lot of 419 going on in that regime. If you know how much you spend they tell us they spend on petrol subsidy, the issue of ASU would have been a done deal by now. We are spending trillions and trillions of naira subsidizing fuel and petroleum that practically 60-70% of them are taken out of the country by certain individuals. So you can understand what I mean. And that is why our refineries and moribund, they are not working, because some people are benefiting from this. We have spent billions and billions of dollars turning around maintenance for Kaduna, Warri, Port. Not single one of them is pumping a single liter of petroleum. Kofi, I'm sure you are aware of this. So the issue is that why should we continue to make some people rich at the detriment of Nigerians? They continue to tell us that, oh, we consume over 600, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 liters of petrol every day. Even in time of COVID, the CG of Custom has come to put a lead and a lie to that statement. Nobody has come to be able to challenge him on that. So for me, I think this issue of subsidy should just be done away with. Let us move on. The issue is, as of 2015, when this president was campaigning, he said there's nothing like petroleum subsidy. He said that at the Chatham House in London. If you can Google it, it's there. So what changed between then and now? So you can see all this, like, this government promised us that they're going to build new refineries and revive the ones that have become. No single refinery has been built for 7 years that this government, and they are leaving. So for me, I think that I totally agree. In as much as we are going to bear the brunt, all well and good. But the fact is that we cannot continue. Some people cannot be making billions and billions of naira at the detriment of the average Nigerians. And that is it for me.
All right, Chris, let's quickly go. And, you remember what the president said in 2015 in Chatham House. Some people will say in Nigerian pidgin, they forget something. But let's go over to, I'd like you to talk about the interesting developments in River State. As a young man I know who is been a supporter of Yensowike over the years, my WhatsApp does not rest. He always is sending messages. He used to be a student union leader. He sends me messages, praising the governor. I think he had an appointment of some sort, or something like that. Recently, it's been a different song he's been singing. It seems like, he's part of those who are still in the PDP in River State, but are campaigning for Atiku. There's a story, that he was attacked, probably manhandled by his fellow PDPers in River State for campaigning for Atiku. So it seems the PDP members in River State are not having it rosy for those who are campaigning for Atiku. But I want to talk about what the nation has told us, which seems to be a new sort of romance between Nyesom and some persons in a certain party called the All Progressives Congress, not in River State, but nationally. Because we have Buhari and Oshimole to open projects in River State. Even Peter Obi is going to be there to commission a project, Wike's gale of projects. But we've also had Femi Gbajabiamila also go to River State to commission a project before. Sawolu has been there, and Wike recently gave, Lagos APC, or let me say officials, wives of government officials, 300 million naira, which was seen as a nice gesture to an APC-controlled state. What are your thoughts on this? In River State, yeah.
Kofi, as they sweet them, you go they pain them. As they sweet us, you go they pain them. I think we should have a remix of that song. I will want Messi to be part of that.
No, Timaya has released one already. Timaya has released one.
No, Messi has released. Has Messi released one?
No, Timaya has released.
No. This one is you, Messi, and I. We are going to do a remix. Our own. So I used to be the artist and promotions manager of Sony Music in Nigeria. So I know so much about music.
Fantastic.
On a more serious note, I think Wike is playing his politics, and with his so-called G5 or G6 or G10, whatever I call them.
G5, please.
Yes, G5. He seems to be getting his art. Yeah, but the fact is that at the end of it, there's something I always say. Most people that ride on the back of tigers or lions end up in the stomach. The question you ask yourself, after May 29, 2023, where will Wike be? And what will be his political clout? If he's trying to do, there is a limit. I totally agree with some of the things he's doing, the agitation on the issue of marginalization by PDP and the rest of them, which should be addressed. But you don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. That is my personal opinion. And there's always a time where you just think that you have gotten to a point where you have made your statement and you need to move on. But coming to the issue of inviting certain individuals, this is not today he started this. I don't say anything about that. He has done this in the past, severally, from opposition parties, inviting them to come and commission projects. People from also PDP have come to commission projects. It is his style. I can't be begrudging. But to me, I think there should be a formal disclosure on this issue within the PDP. We just have barely less than 3 months, less than 120 days to the presidential election. If the PDP by now is not getting its ass together, then all well and good for them. You remember what happened in 2015, the NPDP, where 5 governors of the PDP also left the party and joined the opposition party then, the APC. We saw the result. The PDP should be able to eschew its bitterness and ego and come together and be able to look at it. Politics is about winning and losing. You cannot. It's like football. I just attend to what is happening to Manchester United now. Manchester United used to be one of the topmost teams in the world before, but now you can see they're struggling within the fifth position. Even yesterday, Ronaldo came out with a ban, but they are trying to manage that issue. So Governor Wike is a well-known member of, but how is he going to handle the issue of voting for PDP for governorship and voting for another party for presidential? That is going to be a challenge.
Chris, we have to go now. We like to share your thoughts every other time, and it's always a delight, to have you talk about some of those issues. We look forward to sharing it next week. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Well, that's it this morning with Chris Kehinde Nwandu on After Press. We take a break, and when we return, it will be time for us to delve into our first major conversation right here. Please stay with us.